The death of Helldivers 2 is near is something you may have heard from the fringe elements of dissident divers hoping to bring about change, but the very thing we thought would bring peace and order to the universe is the chaos catalyst Arrowhead may have known it to be during development. Welcome to the channel. This is LtBuzzLitebeer, and this one is not about doom and gloom, so stay put, but instead, it's about unintended effects and consequences attached to the DSS. And if you're a Helldivers fan, you need to stay tuned for this one. Just in case you haven't done so already, please take a moment to hit subscribe, as it's free and it really helps the channel get noticed by the YouTube algorithms. Likes, comments, and shares also greatly aid in that department. And don't forget to ring the notifications bell to receive my latest upload alerts. And today, it's time to take a ride on the chaos side. Since today it's all about democracy and the DSS, it's important to understand where it currently is and what it just helped us do. Lasath is now fully liberated, which I could attest to, as me and the boys were there this morning, getting the crap shelled out of us once again as we pushed back the bots, all with the aerial bombardment going off all around us. Overall, it was a brutal slog versus the bots on Super Helldive, but it's done, and we can move on to another major order, which curiously, this one does not involve planets, liberations, defenses, or the DSS. And more on this in a moment. Instead, it's an ever-popular kill count directive tied to weapons, so overall a new wrinkle there. Here's what it says. Aid in the Ministry of Defense's weapons efficacy review by killing the targeted numbers of enemies with one of 3 designated machine guns. And then there are counters for 500 million bugs apiece for either the stalwart, machine gun, and heavy machine gun. Now the early leader is the stalwart, but there's still a long ways to go. And remember that besides the ammo counts and RPM, the major differences here between these 3 weapons is the armor pen ratings. With the stalwart sporting just light armor pen, the machine gun has medium, and the HMG, of course, has heavy. There's also the added recoil factors, reload times, etc., but you get the basic idea. We've killed 2 billion bugs in this amount of time for previous major orders, but overall, let me know if you think we can max out all 3 of these bars before this one comes to a close. Now, ever since the DSS went live and the bombardments and Eagle storms began, it has introduced a hidden element into our galactic war. Whereas we ground for months to build, supply, and protect this shiny new element of managed democracy, ever since it's come online, it has produced nothing but sheer chaos. A point FandomWire has latched onto and ran with. Quote, "It was good while it lasted. Death of Helldivers 2 is near as fans point out critical flaw in last major order. Has Helldiver 2's player base proven itself unworthy of strategic freedom? The latest major order suggests Super Earth's worst nightmare." Now, from the moment this headline appeared, it instantly answered a question many of us have had with the DSS, because with this great power has also brought about terrible consequences, the worst of which has proven us unworthy to be able to wield such power. After months of anticipation and countless major orders, Helldiver 2's Democracy Space Station is finally operational. This super weapon gigastructure, meant to turn the tide of war against our enemies, represents the culmination of Super Earth's technological might and the collective effort of its loyal soldiers. However, the latest major order, Operation Balance of Liberty, has revealed something far more concerning than any bug invasion or robot uprising. It's exposed a fundamental flaw that could shake the very foundation of what makes Helldivers 2 special, and Arrowhead's game master Joel might have seen this one coming all along. As the dust settles on this latest operation, many veterans are starting to wonder if the power of choice should remain in the hands of those who seem determined to misuse it. Think about that for just a moment. What if the DSS concept, outside of it being a super weapon, was actually pushed into the game to test the resolve of the Helldiver player base? Orbital bombardments or Eagle strikes aside, the DSS was born into a world of chaos. Chaos behind the voting mechanics, chaos behind the long cooldown timers, chaos behind the no stacking of effects. But even far beyond that, The DSS serves as a way of attracting divers' gaze to other areas of the galactic map, like a moth to the flame. As players log in, they see the DSS on whatever planet, and they just go there, sometimes bouncing back and forth, often leaving planets unfinished. I commented on this disturbing pattern a few Helldivers uploads ago because I actually noticed it during the last major order, how we kept bouncing the DSS back and forth from bot to bug territory. Although, as the article continues on, they say the premise seemed simple enough. Liberate more planets than we lose, using the newly operational DSS to support and expedite our efforts. But what followed was nothing short of a strategic disaster that has many veterans questioning the very future of managed democracy. What makes this particularly concerning isn't just the chaos itself, but what it reveals about the community's ability to handle strategic freedom. Listen to this. Helldiver 2's core design philosophy has always been about player agency, the freedom to choose where to fight and how to contribute to the war effort. But when given this freedom, it seems we've collectively chosen chaos. Opinions will, of course, vary on the Democracy Space Station, but what we may have been working on all these past months could be the actual catalyst for our downfall. Continuing on with the article, they say, this mindless migration pattern isn't just frustrating, it's potentially game-breaking. The whole point of Helldiver 2's dynamic war map was to create meaningful choices and consequences. Instead, we're seeing what happens when you give a hammer to someone who thinks everything is a nail. The implications are severe. If the community can't be trusted to make strategic decisions, Arrowhead may have no choice but to implement more rigid, guided gameplay systems, and that would fundamentally alter what makes Helldivers 2 special. The freedom to write our own galactic war story. There's so many moving parts to this story right now and memorable lines, especially we're seeing what happens when you give a hammer to someone who thinks everything is a nail. And it so reminds me of one of my favorite movie lines of all time.
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
We're not only feeling the effects of the DSS planet side, but in subtle elements like the voting system and where it eventually ends up. Helldivers managed to liberate and defend planets long before the DSS ever showed up on the scene. The community even staged a real-life mission versus Sony's tyranny and won. But the DSS has this added element of innocence. It came from us, so therefore it can't betray us, right? But what if there was a secret ring to rule them all? Let's continue on. What's becoming increasingly clear is that this might not be an accident. Some veterans suspect this whole ordeal might be an elaborate experiment by Arrowhead with Joel at the helm, testing just how ready or not the community is for true strategic freedom. The results of this experiment paint a grim picture of the future of player agency in Helldivers 2. This isn't just about one major order. It's about the very future of the game. If the community continues to demonstrate this level of strategic incompetence, Arrowhead may be forced to implement more restrictive systems. Most players would tend to disagree with this last statement, as Arrowhead will more than likely stick with their current system of freedom of choice and consequence, but it is one possible path they could take, albeit not the best. But as FandomWire continues on, they say, we're already seeing the early signs of this potential death spiral. The harsh reality is that Helldiver 2's unique charm comes from its trust in players to make meaningful decisions. If that trust proves misplaced, the game risks becoming just another guided experience, the very antithesis of what made it special in the first place. The veterans who've stuck around for the freedom and strategic depth might find themselves with no reason to stay. And whether you want to admit it or not, what we're witnessing could be the beginning of the end. Not because of an external threat, but because we, the players, have proven ourselves unworthy of the freedom we were given. Super Earth's greatest enemy, it seems, isn't the bugs or the robots, it's our own collective incompetence. Should Arrowhead maintain their current approach to player freedom, or is it time for more managed democracy? Where do you even start with this? Is or was the Democracy Space Station installed into the game to actually test the Helldivers? Are we capable of efficient, strategic freedom? Was it purely added into the game to stoke the fires of chaos? Could our inability to view everything as a nail be our actual downfall, the end of player agency? And what actually is managed democracy? Are the Helldivers pawns in a galaxy-wide battle where we never see the faces of those who give the orders, just those that die at our feet? This takes what has been known as a horde-style meme shooter and adds about 30 layers of interesting to it. As always, leave me some feedback about the true purpose of the Democracy Space Station and if it could lead to the Helldivers' downfall. Remember to hit subscribe and to ring that notifications bell so you never miss one of my future upload alerts. All my socials, including links to all of today's sources, can be found down in the video description. Until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer, signing off.